Do I need an employee handbook? If you're asking yourself that question, then the answer is yes, you do. You need it. Welcome to Virtuous HR. I'm Deanna, your HR consultant for small business owners, startups, and entrepreneurs. Today, we will cover employee handbooks and why you need one as of yesterday. So let's go ahead and get started. The internet is full of information that tells you either how to create your own employee handbook, or it can even direct you to a company that will create one for you. Either route you go, you need to make sure it is the best decision for you and your business, as well as your employees. Now, I will warn you that if you go the route of creating your own handbook, it's going to take some time. Don't expect it to be done in a week, maybe not even a month. Depending on how broad and how detailed you want this handbook to be, it could take a little while, maybe a month or two. Because remember, you're running your business as well, so you don't have time to spend 24/7 on a handbook. If you go the route of a company creating your handbook for you, then you run the risk of that company being halfway across the country. It could be in California and you're in Georgia like me. So make sure that the company understands what your business is, what you want it to say about you, where the culture and the history that you want displayed throughout the handbook. So this brings me to tip number 1 for you. Do not copy another business's handbook. Just don't do it. Copying another business's handbook is frowned upon. It's not like it's illegal, but it's not something that you want to get in the habit of. Yeah, you can take bits and pieces from the handbook and apply it to your own, but you don't want to copy it word for word. A handbook speaks to a business's culture. It speaks to its history. It basically showcases what the business is about to the employees. You can't just say, hey, they're in the medical field, I'm in the medical field, let me just use their handbook. It doesn't work like that. You have to put your history in there. You have to put your culture in there. They could be straight suit and tie medical professionals, and you're more laid back. So if you're copying their handbook, it could be confusing for the employees, especially when it comes to attire. I'm supposed to be wearing this, but I walk into work wearing something else. Just don't copy the handbook. Now, for those of you who have already copied the handbook, don't raise your hand. You don't have to. And you had your employees acknowledge or sign that handbook, there's a way to fix it. Don't worry. I got you. So, to fix it, what you're going to do is start creating your handbook. Well, not really, per se. You're going to start with small rollouts. Make small changes. If you want to keep something that was in that person's handbook already, then keep it. But if you need to slowly change some policies or something like that. Say, hey, they get a 30-minute break and you want an hour break for your employees. Roll that out in an email or have a team meeting and make sure everyone's there and everyone knows that, hey, this is going to be a new policy moving forward. Put a date on it. Say it goes into effect this day until further notice. Or say that this is a permanent change that's going to happen in the handbook. And then have employees acknowledge that change. The changes doesn't have to be one after another, say on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. No, you can spread it out. Make it gradual changes, and then make sure you put those into your new handbook. And then when the handbook's complete, distribute that new handbook to everyone and all the new employees coming in. Easy fix, right? Now, tip number 2. Yes, I know I said 3 reasons why you need one, but I need to get this tip in really quick. You need to have an attorney, your local attorney, the one that works in your state, to review your handbooks, especially if you create one yourself. Now, if you get a company to create your handbook for you, my question to them would be, is an attorney going to review this? Some of them include an attorney review, some of them don't. So please ask that question before you sign any contract or do any business with them. When you have an attorney review your handbook, the main focus for their review are the laws, the federal, state, and local laws that you have to abide by, especially if there are city and county laws where you operate and you have more than one location. Say I have a location in Atlanta and I also have a location in Savannah. There might be two different laws that I have to follow. So make sure that an attorney that knows your state, local, and federal laws is reviewing your handbooks. Now, I know the question on your mind is, how do I find an attorney? There's many different ways to find one. Google is the main one, but there's also attorney websites, LegalZoom, nolo.com. I use that one. What if you don't have the funds to pay for an attorney? You don't have to get your employee handbook legally reviewed, but make sure you have some software, a book, or documentation somewhere where it comes from an actual attorney database or platform. Like I said, I use Nolo. I got the book from Amazon, and I will include a link in the description for you. And they also have a website where you can find local attorneys. But the book itself, it is filled with so much information. It even has sections for different state laws, depending on like pay and breaks and FMLA. So do your research if you're doing it your own, and double do your research if you're doing through a company. All right, let's get to the real reason why you're here. My 3 reasons of why you need an employee handbook, right? First thing I want to say is that you are not legally required by any law to have an employee handbook. This is optional for all employers. However, it is strongly suggested that you have an employee handbook. If you have employees, even just one, you need an employee handbook. You need one. If you're finding this information helpful so far, give it a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe, and make sure to click that little bell so you can get notifications on when the next video comes out. Reason number 1, consistent communication across the organization or a business. So I hate lack of communication. That is a pet peeve for me. If I was your employee and it's my first day there and I have 1,000,001 questions, it's my first day and you're not there or you're busy, who am I going to ask the questions to? Bob, my mentor. And if Bob gives me all the wrong information and I do all the wrong stuff, then whose fault is it? A handbook will answer all the new employees' questions, their PTO, pay, breaks, what benefits they have, any attire, tardiness, attendance policies. Everything will be in an employee handbook and will answer all the employees' questions. So there's no need to ask Bob, my mentor, because I have it in my handbook right here. Handbooks also communicate what is expected, such as company history and culture, benefits, your policies as an owner, and their responsibilities as your employees. Now, I strongly believe rules and policies only work when they are consistent and consistently enforced. You can't have one employee come in tardy all the time and not expect the other employees to start doing the same thing. Reason number 2, federal, state, and local law compliance. Okay, I know we already talked about federal, state, and local law compliance, the attorney, the review, yada, yada, yada. But did you know some federal laws don't apply to private employers with less than 25 employees? But there are some laws that apply to you even if you have 1 employee. Now, the federal laws, state laws, or local laws that don't apply to you, you do not have to include it in your employee handbook. I suggest adding it anyway because you're expecting your business to grow, and if you reach that 25 limit or 50 limit or whatever the limit is for that law, then you don't have to change your handbook later. Easy fix. Finally, reason 3 of why you need an employee handbook: to protect your dreams. You have the handbook, you did the training, you did diversity, equity, and inclusion, you provided pay, you gave great benefits. But guess what? You could still be sued. An employee can find something to file a lawsuit against you or something to go to the EEOC about a discrimination claim. So all companies are subject to lawsuits and discrimination claims. Your handbook needs to have the equal employment statement in the beginning, middle, or end. There needs to be anti-harassment and discrimination statements in your handbook as well. And also, very, very important, a procedure on how employees need to report any claims. I'm talking about step by step. If they are subject to harassment or discrimination, who they go to first, and then what's the process after they go to that person? What will that person, say a manager, do? And don't forget the importance of an acknowledgement page. You know, that very last page when you started your job and it said that you acknowledged that you read this entire handbook, which you probably did not, which is 95% of the workforce did not. But you signed that you did read it, you understand it, and that you will abide by it. Yeah, make sure that's in your handbook too. Even though I mentioned that handbooks can be time consuming and sometimes costly, think about it as an investment for your business. It's a one-time payment most of the time to create a handbook, and then you have it. And then it's easier to adjust the policy sometimes yourself as your business grows. Now, the money and time spent on creating the handbook is a lot less than the money and time spent during a lawsuit. I'm talking maybe 2 months of work for like less than $2,000 versus possibly years, possibly hundreds of thousands of dollars. You see where I'm going with this? So that's all the time and information that I have for you today. If you found any of this helpful or you have any questions, just let me know in the comments below what you think, what your questions are, and I'll get back to you. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel to make sure you get notifications on when the next video is coming up. My name is Deanna of Virtuous HR, your HR consultant. See you next time.